For more reason, welcome to Invest. Talk about investing, finance, fresh development. For today's very terms only, the investment on top of today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. First, just want to say happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you have a great week, by the way. Respect to Ethereum, so I'm recording this off 9:14 a.m. on Eastern time. Currently $3,227, up about 2.17% so far. Respect to the news I've been collecting so far in the last, I would say, 15 to 10 hours so far, collectively we have a mixed bag of positive news, but with some spiking negative news, right? With respect to just keep tabs, right? About 10 hours ago, a news with respect to Poly Network, right, pleads for the hackers to return assets after $611 million of crypto was stolen, right? And I believe over nearly half of the assets that was in that holding composed of Ethereum. Obviously, raises significant privacy concerns. So we go through that the letter that was released by Poly Network in a bit. With respect to some other news, talking about with respect to Coinbase earnings, it was relatively, a positive one, if you may, right? With Coinbase Q2 profits tops 1.6 billion as Ethereum volume surpassed Bitcoin for the first time. So obviously, with the popularization of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, I think the price fluctuation speaks for itself, right? It's been surging, in a percentage perspective, higher than Bitcoin, which subsequently translate into a higher probability in that composition if you divide up the revenue streams. Coming from Ethereum volume is a little bit more outweighed in comparisons to Bitcoin, obviously. Right, and then another one coming from Bazinga about 14 hours ago with respect to Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, if you watch the show on CNBC. He believes that Ethereum is an ultra sound money, right? And he talks about a lot of the value proposition of the commercial usage versus Bitcoin commercial usage and the long-term value proposition and some of the implementations that has been incurred or subsequent implementation that they need to technologically incur going forward to sustain the long-term value proposition for Ethereum going forward, right? So it's a very positive article, but it is some sort of a persuasive type of bias, influential article, if you may. Right, so with respect to the next one is Yahoo Finance about 15 hours ago. Coinbase trading volume shift from BTC to Ethereum. So obviously with the, another comparable article that came out from Cointelegraph that we just talked about, right, with respect to Coinbase earnings, with respect to earnings streams on the revenue perspective, it was mainly captured from the Ethereum volume, versus the Bitcoin volume, right? So obviously another popularization that is being adopted and being picked up on Yahoo Finance as well, right? And then another one is really talking about some of the NFT activities, right? So there was an NFT that was initialized by Bored Ape. It was sold for about $1 million in Ethereum, right? And so another artistic cultivation, stem from the NFT Ethereum value proposition. So another, more commercialization type of adoptions, right? And then that's pretty much it overall. So I'm gonna go through technical analysis on the news. Seems like on a mixed bag. There's a lot of positive ones. Obviously with the Coinbase earning, which is the one of the reasons why it's surging right now. Pre-market hours is about 4.26%. But with respectively on the Poly Network news is definitely negative, right? And also on top of the fact we've been surging for the last, I would say, 16 to 17 days now. So the market dynamic is definitely, sustaining a bullish trend, but we are in a more of a dangerous territory right now. So I'm gonna go to technical analysis to see how we're shaking out psychologically. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH, I'm recording this up 9:19 a.m. on the Eastern time. Currently like $3,237, up about 2.48% so far. You can see with respect to the chart, we've been surging up for quite some time now, ever since July 20th. We've been surging ever since with respect to MACD and RSI. We highly overbought, right? So let's go to the Poly Network letter that released recently from the press. So firstly, you want to take a look at this first, right? So let's read the letter real quick. Dear hacker, we are Poly Network team. We want to establish communication with you and urge you to return the hacked assets. The amount of money you hacked is the biggest one in the DeFi history. Law enforcement in any country will regard this as a major economic crime and you will be pursued. It is very unwise for you to do any further transactions. The money you stole are from tens of thousands of crypto community members, hence the people. You should talk to us to work out a solution, Poly Network team. So obviously with this letter, it was pretty detrimental to the overall crypto community, knowing the fact that $611 million was basically wiped out, and these are people's hard-earned money, right? That was just stolen, right? And that's some another foreshadow with respect to the feds and the SEC for stepping up, right? I think privacy concern is something that is a mandatory mandate for our global governmental of entities, right? We need to enforce some compliance structure. We need to enforce transparencies and cybersecurity onto the value proposition going forward, right? Because we've been experiencing these type of hacks, right? And I think this is the largest one yet. But I think the ones before was about close to about 80 million that was hacked at one time, and then there was like another one that's 20 million that was hacked in one time. And these occurrences happened in the last, I would say, the last 6 months, right? And the last thing I want you guys to be experiencing is to lose all your money without knowing what's the end results, right? And I think this letter, it is just basically, I don't think they're calling truce, but I think it's how what is the proposition um, that they can get out of this letter, right? I think they might do investigations to like backtrack the IP address, but crypto assets is something that is relatively difficult to track, knowing the fact that it's decentralized by nature, and it is formed in decryptions. So I don't know. I frankly don't have an answer for this, and I hope that they are able to come into a solution where people, these poor people can recuperate their money subsequently. So I'm really sorry for this occurrence. This is something that I don't wish upon anybody else, including myself, knowing the fact that we are relatively large investors into these assets. So it's definitely sad, and that's the reason why the Feds needs to step up, right, to enforce more regulatory constraints and structure, so we have more security going forward, right? So obviously, with this news, it have some impact onto the price sensitivity around the fluctuations of Ethereum price point. So I think yesterday we dipped around like close to the low 3,000, and then subsequent rebound from there because of all the positive news that have been percolating so far. So anyways, let's move on to the chart again. So we've been surging for quite some time now, right? For the last, I would say, 16 to 17 days now. And the chart is relatively comparable. You see, like, we've been percolating, so comparable to the percolations that we had, early on in April. And then we had that huge surge. It seems like we've been having a huge surge. And if you match the angles, comparably, you could see that this dip was relatively comparable to this dip. And this dip was comparable to this dip. So I do see another surge coming, and I think we're seeing that in front of our eyes right now. That if you look at this chart real quick, I want to show you, right? So with respect to this percolation, this is what we were talking about, right? The smart money like you and I was able to buy when we were at the 1750, or for me, I was buying around like 450, 600, like the 3 digits marks, and then the institutional steps in, right? And once they step in, they have media attentions because of media affectation that steps in, and then you have a lot of like enthusiastic emotions, people like talking about this on YouTube, like pumping, oh, Ethereum's gonna hit 25,000 by end of this year or something, hype related, if you may, right? And then now you see the greed, and I think we are at somewhere around the greed and delusional level. Or if you talk about the other chart that I showed you guys before, we at the thrill and euphoria angle. So once we hit the new paradigm, which I think is near, right, comparable to this level when we hit the 4,300, that was the paradigm. I do think, if we try to match the historicals, right, we're basically at the level of basically the bottom of the paradigm. And once we break next level, I think the next level that you should ideally sell would be the 3,398 or 85. I think that's the level that we have identified previously. Yeah, 3,385. And I think that will be the next surge. But if we break even higher, I think this is a huge warning sign for you to be selling, right? Because and then by then people is gonna start denying, like, come on, man, the bull cycle is still gonna be continuing, right? And next thing you know, you're gonna have this like bull trap or dead cat bounce, if you may, right? And then you will see this mega sell off, which we've seen in the past, right? You saw that, I think history is gonna repeat itself. You see this bull trap right here, and you see the mega sell off. So, is a reason why I'm showing this chart, right? Because history could pseudo repeat itself, and the risk is incurring. So definitely invest at your own caution, right? We have to be extremely mindful of, because these are your hard-earned money, right? I don't want you to be holding your bag and you just kind of have to wait it out until later on, right? We are at a normal course of cycle. We need to go through this normalization before we have a next pump up, right? So I do see another surge coming, but I think the surge will be potentially just like maybe $100 or $200. I don't think it's gonna be like $1,000 surge up, because that will be, not the logical way of thinking about it, because we have already been overbought. So unless we like just like printing money out of nowhere, aliens start buying cryptocurrencies or something crazy like that. But the money has to come from somewhere. You know what I'm trying to say? The institutional investors are already in the bus. They're not gonna pump us again. I think they might maybe just one last jerk, but once we get there and people start FOMOing and then emotions comes in play, then they will basically drop us and dump us like the way that we've seen before. So definitely be cautious, and hope you guys stay careful out there as the risk is increasing. To recap on numbers and technical analysis, again, right, we are at the mid stage of euphoria or thrill, or like the late stage of thrill, if you may, right? And ideally for me, I would not chase the pump ever. And I think logically, if we were to come back down, the first level is 3,000, which is just a flat number. Again, it's not a substantive level. The real level is 2,750. The next level is 2,450. And those are the levels that I would practice patient to dollar cost average at, right? Per the charts that we've seen before, right? But with respect to like the 12 months price target, and the 12 months price target, I want to specify. The 12 months starts on June, so technically this is like 10 months price target from now. So think of this like next June of this year, of next year. And that should subsequently generate like a 9,800, 3.3 times your money from here. So further, respect my technical analysis on Ethereum ticket ETH. Hopefully this is helpful. The risk is definitely increasing, based on the charts and what we've been experiencing and observing so far. But definitely invest at your own caution. Ultimately, I cannot tell you what to do, and no one can tell you what to do. You are your own investor. You are your own compass, right? I can only give you what I'm doing, based on my observations, and I have no bias. I wish that we were at the lowest point of the RSI. At the comparable level, I'll be buying it right now, right? But we are not. We're at the opposite side of the spectrum, and that's why I'm gonna stay patient and hold off for now, until we have a better opportunity, level for us to dollar cost average. Really appreciate you, and again, you're free to ask me questions, and stay tuned for this to come up. Take care. Bye.